We got some sad news today, if you will, in the culinary world. Timeout Market in Fulton Market is closing. They announced today that their last day will be January 23rd. I want to go ahead and bring in Sam Toya. He's the president of the Illinois Restaurant Association to talk a little bit more about this, what seems sudden news for many of us. And I don't know if we'll even call it a trend that we're starting to see, because this isn't the first restaurant that has closed up shop in recent weeks. Sam, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
We always love having you here on the show. Did you hear rumblings that Timeout Market was having issues?
It's been really rough on our independent restaurants here in the city of Chicago over the last, since the post-pandemic. We've seen product costs go up 38%. We've seen labor costs go up 35%. We've seen fixed costs go up 19%. And, when Timeout Market opened their market in the West Loop, it was obviously pre-pandemic. We had over 600,000 people coming down to the Central Business District to work every day. We know now that it's probably back up to 60%, but that's 40% less than when they put their business model together. They weren't expecting inflation to be as high as it is. They didn't expect that we would go from 600,000 people coming down to the Central Business District to 340,000. So those things obviously contributed to the reason they're closing. And they're also closing in some other markets as well. But it was a little bit of shock. But we also know that in the first half of 2025, over 496 restaurants closed in Chicago. It's been rough, like I said. I used to say the restaurant industry was an industry of nickels and dimes before the pandemic, and it's turned into an industry of pennies and nickels now. And when you lose a few pennies, you're going to go out of business. That's why we see so many empty storefronts up and down our commercial corridors, be it 79th Street or 53rd Street or Ashland Avenue or Clark Street or Lincoln Avenue. It's just, you only can, pass on these increases to your customers so much before your customers say, we can't come back. We can't afford it. Affordability is an issue out here.
Yeah. And for people who, really, a lot of people say like, oh no, Timeout, Market. But then you ask like, well, when's the last time you went? Talk about the concept. What was the concept?
Well, concept is obviously they were trying to go after a lot of lunch customers, and then also obviously, early dinner concepts. You could go in there, order from different venues, that different kind of food, and it was kind of like shared seating and everything. So it was a great idea. But again, you got this obviously hybrid work schedule now, and there's just not that many people coming to our Central Business District, and that's why they were, again, their business model was built on a different model before the pandemic, to be honest.
Yeah, and I went maybe about a month ago to Timeout Market, and it was kind of empty in there. I mean, I was there with a large group, but it was kind of empty other than us in Timeout Market when I went.
Yeah. When did you go? Did you go for lunch or dinner?
Dinner.
Yeah. See? Yeah. So, yeah. So it's rough out here. Like I just mentioned, over 496 restaurants closed in Chicago in the first half of 2025.
Yeah.
Affordability is an issue.
And of course, I wanted you to go over like the concept for Timeout Market because it's different. And yet we saw McCormick and Schmick's, that also went out. And it seems each time like they're so sudden. Are they actual sudden decisions?
Usually, be it Timeout or, a steakhouse or whoever, one of these 496 restaurants that closed, they usually know, after 2 or 3 months of a profit loss statement being in the loss column, and especially if you're a kind of a chain and you understand it, you're not sticking around because you're losing money. An independent restaurant, they might try to fight it out. We can get out of this. But a big restaurant company, after 3 months of losing money, they're like, pull the plug. pull the plug. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to turn around. So is it sudden? To a degree, but it's not super sudden.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned chains versus the mom and pops. There are some new chains over, not far from it that are opening up. Does that play into something like a Timeout Market not making it?
Sure. I mean, the pie's only so big, but if, people come in for the food, they come back for the service. So if you're doing your job, you know what I mean? You're going to be fine. I mean, look at some of these iconic restaurants we got, right? Like Gene and Giorgetti's or Gibson's.
Mm-hmm.
They've been around forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, a good restaurant owner operator will make it, but it's becoming more competitive. And like I said, you can only pass on these price increases so much before your customers say, can't afford it anymore. That is a problem. We're hearing this from Washington, D.C. to Springfield. We have to get affordability under control. We got to get inflation under control.
Yeah. And, like you said, there's issues when it comes to affordability, both here in Illinois and throughout the country. And so even when we think like, oh my goodness, the taxes are high, is it a pro or anti business environment here? As you mentioned, Timeout has other markets in other cities that are also closing up right now.
That is absolutely true. And like I mentioned, it kind of has to do with people not working 5 days a week in the central business district, right? Maybe they're working 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but with Timeout and these other, restaurant companies put their business plan together, they weren't seeing that the market was going to be cut in half. And that's part of the problem as well. Because when you had people coming down to the central business district 5 days a week, they go out to lunch, they go out to dinner, they stay here in our central business district and have a meal. But they're not here, and that's why you've seen more restaurants opening kind of like more on the North Shore or the Northwest suburbs, because you have people working from home. They still want to go out to eat, but they're going out to eat by restaurants that are close to where they live.
Very good point, and I know you know your stuff here. Maybe on a final point, what does it mean for the restaurants that were inside of Timeout Market? I mean, some of them have like another restaurant in the area. Do you think that, okay, we'll close this one and just primarily focus on that? I mean, Timeout was kind of the overall place where they set up shop, but many of them have other locations.
Right. It's just like at the airport, right? When you go to the airport, you see all these other different restaurant concepts there. So yes, you usually have a restaurant concept in the neighborhood somewhere else, and then you do this concept like a Timeout or in the airport. Again, I'm sure Timeout had contracts with them, with these restaurants that were there. You know what I mean? That, if we're not, making money, we might have to close. So I'm sure that was, those I's were dotted and those T's were crossed. So as a restaurant owner operator, if you get a good 7-year run, you're doing all right. It's a tough industry. And like I said, it used to be an industry of nickels and dimes. Now it's an industry of pennies and nickels. And we don't get inflation under control. We don't get this, the labor market under control. We're going to see more restaurants go out of business.
Well, it's really hard to see any of these places shut their doors. And every time we find out about another one, or just, you're riding around, or you think you're getting ready to get a reservation at a place you haven't been in a long time, and you find out that it's gone, it does hurt your heart to see another one close up.
Yeah, so I encourage all your viewers, please visit your independent restaurant in your neighborhood, because restaurants are the soul of every neighborhood throughout our 77 communities here in the city of Chicago. We are still the culinary capital of the United States.
And we want to stay that way. Sam, thank you so much as always. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. 327. I'm also excited about the restaurants that are coming. So we'll have to maybe pull on Sam, in another time soon to talk about some of the restaurants that are going to be opening. Oh, and another thing we can talk to him about, Restaurant Week here in the city of Chicago is getting ready to happen very soon. So plenty of things. I'm just thinking, after I've already gotten off the line with him, plenty of things that we can still talk to Sam Toya about.
Thanks for watching Fox 32 Chicago. Subscribe now for stories that matter, and you'll never miss what's next.